I made a mistake and I got stuck over there.
The Milky Way is a vast place.
And I select, nobody's coming to get me. There is no way.
Fuel rats are special because if you need help from them,
hang in there, big guy, we got this.
they're going to be there.
We have fuel. You don't. Any questions?
The Fuel Rats, a selfless collective of elite dangerous players who set out each day to rescue pilots stranded in the darkest corners of the galaxy. If you ever find yourself too low on fuel to make it, they come to the rescue. But coordinating their rescue exploits takes real brains. Among their number are the game's finest mathematicians and engineers. They are ship fitters and mission planners, capable of surviving a journey that takes them 100 light years from the nearest chartered star. The rats will pluck you from the void. Lost in space, the Fuel Rats of Elite Dangerous. You see the entire Milky Way from the cockpit of your ship, trading, mining, staging assassinations, or exploring alien planets.
Many of the stars in Elite are based on real stars. David Braben basically decided he wanted a copy of the real Milky Way in there, which is 100,000 light years across. They pushed very hard to try and make things scientific in a fun way, where possible, right, where it didn't ruin the gameplay.
Run out of fuel and you soon run out of oxygen, and help is rarely nearby. It's all too easy to find yourself floating alone in the void. That's where the Fuel Rats come in.
Are you worried that in space no one can hear you scream? For fuel. Are you afraid? Are you alone? Are you 40,000 light years from home? Don't panic. Call the Fuel Rats. We have fuel. You don't. Any questions? Well, the Fuel Rats got started back in June of 2015 by Commander Sully Badger. Until the release of the fuel transfer limpets, the only option you had when you ran out of fuel was basically to blow up. You basically lose all the missions you were running, all the exploration data you collected, any cargo your ship has, that's just gone. But back then, Frontier added the fuel transfer limpet controller to the game, and that allowed you to transfer fuel from one ship to another. Sully Badger realized that it would be possible to actually save people using this feature. So he started a forum thread who said, if you run out of fuel, let us know here and we'll come rescue you.
Exploration became very much a popular thing to do in Elite Dangerous. Sure, you can fly around and shoot spaceships and move cargo around, but people just love to fly off into the black and find new things. I don't think the developers at Frontier realised just how dedicated players would ultimately be. Just people went everywhere.
The Fuel Rats have become a feature of Elite Dangerous, designed not by the devs, but the pilots themselves. They're the galaxy's emergency services, responding to cries for help where no one else can hear. So, how do the architects of this galaxy feel about their exploits?
We first became aware of the Fuel Rats just after the 1.3 beta went live, I believe. In the early days of Elite, I had hopes that with the idea that we were creating this backdrop, this galaxy for people to play in, and the tools that we were giving them would spur this player-driven stories and events that they have produced. More and more communities came out, and of course the Fuel Rats appeared.
Within a few months we were talking about several hundred members. I think the last count we had for active members was around 18,000. When people need rescuing, they go to a web form and they input their commander name, what system they're in, which platform they're playing on, and whether they are on emergency oxygen or not. And then we dispatch the rat out to them. We are going to go to a system called HIP 65034. So we're going to need to plug that into the galaxy map. And then we can plot a route there. Yeah. And we just jump to their system.
3, 2, 1, engage.
Well, the way refueling works for the client, the first thing they hear is the sound of the ship into their area. Okay, there we are. So the next step is now going back into our communications menu and turning on Wingman Navlock on our clients.
Fuel scooping.
And you should also see the blue beacon marker.
Fuel scooping complete.
It's not just a matter of reaching the ship you're trying to rescue. Once you offload that fuel, you've got to make it back home yourself.
The degree of danger varies from rescue to rescue. I mean, sometimes you get people who are stuck inside the exclusion zone of the SAR, which means that it's quite hot to drop into them. But the most dangerous kind of rescue is probably against neutron stars, where they're caught inside the jet cone. Saving people in that situation is very difficult. Hopefully a few seconds later they hear the incoming fuel message. There we go, and you see the Olympus going in. So that's pretty much the rescue process. Well, Commander now has fuel and should be able to continue on his journey.
3, 2, 1, engage.
Well, I think what most people get out of being a fuel rat is the sense of altruism, of helping people, which is something you don't really get a lot of chance to do in online games these days.
They're not playing the game like anyone else. It's user-generated content, and that's some of the best stories from games come from this user-generated content.
The fuel rats are special because they're so selfless. They play within the lore of the game. They're just an all-round really nice bunch of commanders that just want to get out there and help players where they can. Not only do they provide fuel for people of all experience levels, you know, sometimes the elite also run out of fuel.
For most people, they react with a sense of profound gratitude when they're rescued. I guess the heartfelt gratitude is quite warming.
What's so admirable about the fuel rats is that they invented and sustained this mechanism for connecting players together in a virtual setting that's essentially endless.
When someone is in distress, we try to calm the stress. We try to figure out what is going on with the person and how can we actually heal them. Sometimes we want to just do something a little bit different that's out of our normal everyday life. And so when we play these games and we do this and it becomes a second job, it feels like you're becoming something bigger than yourself and really engaging in the world around you and feel like you matter, that you mean something.
Okay, keep your eyes on the screen. We're going to find out just exactly how far away I am from Commander Deluvian.
Elite is a game about exploration, so it's not surprising that the rats have had to save the asses of some very bold, earnest Shackleton types.
The pro at this moment is probably going to have to be Operation Beyond the Dark Void. That was the rescue of Commander Deluvian, who had basically traveled to the far edge of the galaxy, and then it just kept going. You have two methods of travel in Elite Dangerous. The hyperspace jump, which is basically jumping from one star system to another one. And then you have a supercruise, which is meant for traveling inside the star system. Well, what Deluvian did was he jumped to the farthest star he could reach in the galaxy. Then he pointed away from the galaxy and kept going straight forward in supercruise. And he did so for over 30 days in a straight line. So he traveled over 140 light years away from the main star.
That's more than 823 trillion miles, but who's counting?
Commanders were trying to, of course, discover the last possible system. I, as a fresh explorer, of course, really wanted to do that, and essentially I made a mistake. I went a little bit too far, burned too much fuel, and I got stuck over there. Back then I was so uneducated pilot, and I said, like, nobody's coming to get me. There is no way.
So to reach him, you can't just jump directly to where he is. You have to jump to the same star system he arrived at, point in the same direction, and fly exactly the same amount of time he did. So you're talking about a rescue that first of all involves sitting in a ship staring at the black for over 20 days. You're talking 600 hours in Super Cruise.
Like, just put yourself in the shoes of somebody who is in the cockpit of a spaceship in a video game and flies off in the same direction for 600 hours. Like, what motivates that person, right? It's got to be just pure curiosity.
So, of course, as usually when I was doing my expedition, there was a forum thread, and somebody says, why don't you call fuel rats? And I said, like, no, they would be crazy if they come and get me. I checked fuel rats. I went on the webpage and I said, hi, I'm stuck beyond Sematus Beacon, 141 light years. And one of the rats responded, you mean 14.1? It's like, no, 141 light years.
And when he called for rescue, people were ready to go from the first moment.
I think it was like Friday, and on Monday they calculated everything, planned. Yeah, we will do it. And that's how the operation started.
Over 3 days planned just to actually get the logistics of how we were going to get enough fuel to the commander we were rescuing and the rats that were actually going out to rescue them, because they have to jump back as well. So we had to set up a relay of ships that basically refueled each other. So he was basically just counting the minutes along with the rest of us until we actually reached his position.
46 minutes. Hang in there, big guy. We got this.
Just to put this in perspective, imagine you live at the tip of South Africa, and your neighbor has decided to drive all the way to eastern Russia, halfway across the globe. And they get a flat tire. So they call you for help, and without hesitating, you jump in your car and you just start driving. That's what the fuel rats did.
He's away.
Should be arriving in system.
There he is! There he is! As he lives and breathes. There he is.
Congratulations, we have rescued Commander Deluvian right there.
And then you hear the sound of the first limpet that is actually already shot and it's traveling towards you, and that's also very, very characteristic sound. There's a limpet flying my direction.
This is amazing.
Oh God.
Well, I think when we finally did reach Deluvian, his reaction is quite jubilant. I mean, everyone was. It was a rather massive undertaking. We're talking about over a month of travel time.
To grab some words and say something, my throat is just choking. So I just want to say thank you.
You're welcome.
It was quite a lot of anticipation that got released when we finally did reach him.
That was really something very special.
I'm really thankful that there are communities like the Fuel Rats out there in Elite Dangerous. It's beyond my wildest dreams of what I could have hoped for developing the game in those early stages as to how far they've come and how far the other communities have come along with them as well.
Well, as of right now, we are up to 119,729 rescues. So basically our success rate, which is 96.2%, we average around 52 rescues per day. No, I never thought it would grow this large in my wildest dreams. It's grown beyond all expectations. For myself, it's the community that keeps me around. I've gotten quite a few friends within the Fuel Rats that we meet on a yearly basis in real life, and people like doing good stuff.
In Elite, we have a saying, the galaxy is a harsh place, and so as commanders, we try to make each other's lives a little easier. I can think of no organization that better exemplifies that ideal than the Fuel Rats. So, for myself and the community, thank you, Fuel Rats.
24/7 emergency response support for stranded players for years now is unprecedented. So here's to you guys. Thank you, Fuel Rats.
And I know that they supply a valuable service to the Elite Dangerous community. Thank you, Fuel Rats.
Thank you, Fuel Rats, from everyone at the Burr Pit.
07, huge thanks, Fuel Rats.
Thanks, Fuel Rats, I really love what you do.
Huge thank you to the Fuel Rats.
You know, when we started out doing this, it was just a couple of guys fooling around on the internet, and we never really expected to get this kind of impact on people. Thank you so much to the community for all the support you've shown to the Fuel Rats over the years. You're really what makes it worth it for us to keep doing this. So thank you so much. I guess all we have to say is you have fuel, you don't. Any questions? Also in command.
The Fuel Rats understand that strong communities and friendships are built by paying it forward. They don't do it for the money. They don't do it for the fame. They do it because out in the black, sometimes all we have is each other. And coming to lend a hand on someone's worst day might just come back around if next time it's your tank that goes empty and your precious oxygen ticking down to 0.